Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you're a beginner trying to learn Japanese, you've probably hit that massive, frustrating brick wall known as kanji, right? But what if I told you there's a hidden phonetic bridge that can completely transform how you learn? Today we're on a mission to break down that daunting barrier. We're going to reveal a highly consistent, secret key that makes memorizing pronunciation faster, way easier, and honestly, a whole lot more logical. Let's get into it.
Look, if you've ever stared at a list of Japanese vocabulary and just felt completely overwhelmed, trust me, you are not alone. Learning kanji often feels totally impossible when you're starting out. You're expected to memorize thousands of characters, each with these seemingly random, disconnected sounds. It just feels like pure brute force memorization. You stare at flashcards until your eyes blur, trying to force your brain to connect a complex drawing with a completely foreign sound. It is exhausting.
So here's our roadmap for today. 1. The kanji learning barrier. 2. The Hangul kanji connection. 3. Unlocking onyomi. 4. A quick case study on the character for middle. And 5. Real-life vocabulary patterns. Let's step through it. All right, Part 1, the kanji learning barrier. The fundamental problem with how most of us approach a new writing system is, we treat it like it exists in a total vacuum. But language doesn't work that way. Languages evolve together, they borrow from each other, they share deep historical roots. And this brings us to a massive aha moment from our source research. The author points out something incredibly powerful. Korea, China, and Japan belong to the same kanji cultural sphere, so we can infer that word pronunciations will be similar. Think about that for a second. These languages did not develop in isolation. If you already know Korean, or hey, even if you just understand the basic phonetic sounds of Hangul, you basically already possess a cheat code. You can use what you know to predict Japanese sounds. Moving on to Part 2, the Hangul kanji connection. Okay, so here is the actual secret formula. Step 1 is the original Chinese root character. Step 2 is the Hangul reading of that character. And Step 3 is the Japanese onyomi, or the sound reading. The source research discovered a striking, super consistent relationship here. The Hangul reading acts as a reliable, predictable bridge directly to the Japanese pronunciation. So instead of jumping blindly from a character to a Japanese sound, you step comfortably onto that Hangul bridge and it guides you right to the Japanese word. It's like having a stepping stone right in the middle of the river. Part 3. Unlocking onyomi pronunciation. Now, before we get too carried away, Japanese kanji actually has a bit of a split personality when it comes to readings. On one side, we have onyomi. That's the sound reading derived from Chinese. This is exactly where our secret key applies perfectly. It has a predictable, rule-based connection to Hangul. But on the other side is kunyomi, the native Japanese meaning reading. The research points out that kunyomi lacks these predictable patterns, mostly because it developed natively over in Japan. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is, when we're predicting pronunciations using Hangul, we are specifically unlocking the onyomi. Which brings us to Part 4, a case study on the character for middle. Let's anchor this with a character you're going to see literally everywhere. The character for middle. In a standard dictionary entry, you'll see that in Korean Hangul, this character is pronounced jung. Now shift over to the Japanese onyomi, it is pronounced chu. Jung becomes chu. Once your brain links jung to chu, boom, you've just created a master key. Because this isn't just one isolated word, it is an entire phonetic pattern. And finally, Part 5, real-life vocabulary patterns. Let's prove this actually works in the wild by applying the jung equals chu shift to everyday vocabulary. Take the word for middle school. In Korean, Hangul is junghakgo. In Japanese, chugakgo. See that shift? For intermediate, Korean uses jungan, and Japanese uses chukan. For center, jungang seamlessly morphs into chuu. This is wild, right? You aren't learning these Japanese words from scratch. You're just applying a consistent phonetic filter to a structure you, or the Hangul phonetic system, already completely understand. Okay, let's rapid fire through some everyday words so you can really lock in that associative memory right now. Just listen to the rhythm of this shift. Addiction, 영도구 becomes 추도구. Palsy, 영풍 becomes 추부. Lunch, 영식 becomes 추쇼구. Medium size, 영형 becomes 추가다. The middle path, 영도 becomes 추도. It even works for modern slang like 8th grader syndrome. 영리병 perfectly translates to chunibyo. And my absolute favorite, the idiom for 100% accuracy, 백발백중
translates flawlessly to hyappatsu hyakuchu. It is incredibly, predictably consistent.
And that wraps up our explainer for today. We just took that daunting wall of kanji and found a completely logical side door using Hangul phonetics. Now that you know the secret associative key for the middle character, where jung reliably shifts to chu, just think about the possibilities. What other phonetic patterns are hiding in plain sight in the everyday words you use? Once you start looking for these connections, learning Japanese honestly stops being rote memorization and becomes this fascinating puzzle of predictable sounds. Keep looking for those patterns and keep learning.